Have you guys had a good weekend so far? I think you need to be a little louder. Have you guys had a good weekend so far? That is more like it. Who wants to talk about the MCU? Please welcome to the stage, Lee Pace. Come on out, Lee. Benedict Swan and Anthony Mackie. Come on out, guys. You guys can sit. You can sit right there. Benedict, you can sit over there. There's plenty of places to sit here in San Antonio, you know? First of all, welcome, you guys. Are you guys glad they're here?
Hey!
And who is that yaying over there? I love that.
That was him.
Sorry,
just
that's you? Okay.
excited to see himself.
I mean, listen, first of all, congratulations. The whole, everything wrapped up in Endgame, 22 films. You guys have been part of such an epic sort of unique experience. I'm wondering, what do you think it is about Marvel and the way they've executed the MCU that really resonates with all the fans? It's become more than just a series of movies. It's kind of like a movement, you know?
Well, I think what Marvel was able to do more than any other film, I think if you look at the original film trilogies, you look at Alien, you look at Rocky, you look at Rambo, all these great characters that us parents grew up with that you kids might not know. You go on a journey with them every single film, and you relate to them because they're human beings. They work from a human level instead of a futuristic, far-off level that you can't identify with. So what Marvel was able to do was make all of their characters very human, very simple, and work towards a simple goal so you can relate to it.
Absolutely. I mean, and by the way, congratulations, Captain. I mean, when did you first realize that you were going to take the captain's mantle and this was, going to be passed on to Sam?
We were shooting in Atlanta, and Chris Evans had a bunch of us over to his house to watch the football game because we all hate the Patriots and he loves the Patriots. And we're all there having a good time doing what we do. And he and I go downstairs and he was showing me the house and he's like, "So are you excited?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a football game. I watch football every week. I love football. I didn't know you were this into it." And he's like, "No, about the script. You haven't read the scene." I was like, no. So he jumps up, runs out of the room and comes back with the script and hits me with the script. He's like, "Page 85, read it. And he sits there like a kid,
and you're like a little bit self-conscious.
All right, I'll just, yeah. Oh, and he goes, "Yeah." So, it was sorry. It was so it was a cool moment. It was a cool moment, the fact that usually they sit you down as Kevin Feige and all the producers and they're like, "You're going to do this." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." But it was a cool moment that I got to learn it from one of my dear friends instead of somebody else.
I mean, that's so what was you're reading it, you read it, he's sitting there looking at you. What do you do? I need more details here.
It was for me, it was a very emotional moment. One, I love Chris, and Chris is an amazing Cap. And I feel like what he's been able to do with that character, very few people have been able to do in any cinematic universe or a span of films, because he's played Cap for a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And, to take that over, to be a part of that, the legacy of that is a huge challenge. Mm-hmm. It's something where a lot of people are going to expect me to be Chris Evans in the same suit, but a black dude.
And that's not what it's going to be.
That's definitely not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These thighs ain't Chris Evans thighs. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's go back.
Great thighs.
Let's go back for a minute. When did you learn that Sam wasn't going to make it out of Infinity War?
When did I learn? Oh, I knew that very early on. My boy, Mitch, the producer, he came to me. He literally, we have this back and forth thing, and he came to me at one of the premieres, and he was like, "I'm so happy to see you die."
You're like,
I'm like,
wait,
what? He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." The next day, I get an email with one page, and it's just like him at the bottom of it with a Sharpie says, "This is where you die." So, I learned that very early on, but I was very, very, very begative to come back. I was like, so, there's a stone for me not to die, for me to come back. Some people don't want to do this. I'm very happy where I am. Don't kill me, please.
Well, I mean, it was so emotional as a viewer to hear Sam's voice when everyone was facing off against Thanos, in the end. When did you learn that was going to happen? Did you know that was going to be
I did not know that. I did because we never got the whole script. So I got the sides on the day, which was my one line, which I did in ADR. And then, we did some CGI stuff, and that was it. I didn't know how they were going to fit it in. I didn't know how they were going to use it. The Russo brothers, I was in New Orleans. The Russo brothers called me and was like, "Oh, we need you to do this line. It's just ADR." And I was like, "Oh, all right." So I go to my dude's studio, and, they FaceTime whatever conference them in. They're like, "We need you to say cap on your left or left to your, or something along those lines. Just riff." I was like, "All right." So we did like 5 minutes of ADR, and that was it.
Wow. And there you have it, right?
And I was watching the movie, and then everything happened, and I turned to my son, and I was like, "Whoa!" And my dad was, my son looked at me and was like, "Dad!" It's like, "Yeah." He went, "Oh, shit!" I'm like, "Oh, shit!" I let my kids curse. I don't care. That was a cool moment. It was a cool moment.
It was a very cool moment.
He's 10. You should curse. I cursed. Curse, kid.
Benedict, when did you learn that Wong was going to survive the snap?
I think when I saw the posters with the Avenged the Fallen, and then mine was a lot more colourful than the others, and I thought, oh, that's a bonus.
That's good. Now, I mean, do you think that Wong was maybe the Sorcerer Supreme for the 5 years that? I mean, is that a possibility? That's a theory.
I don't know. He did a lot in those 5 years. I'm writing a book there, guys. If you want to find out, I'm not really, but some sort of. He went to a sale. I don't know who, quite possibly, because he was defending the Sanctum. Yeah,
right.
He didn't dip. Whoever wrote those memes.
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
right?
sorry about that. Yeah.
Wong went to Jamaica. I'm out, man. This shit real. It's too real, homie. See you when I see you.
And Lee, not to spoil a 5-year-old movie, but obviously at the end of Guardians, you unfortunately lose the dance off and die, sadly. But then around comes Captain Marvel, and it's set decades earlier, and you're back. What was it like to get the call that, hey, Ronan's coming back? And
well, it was a big surprise, but a nice one, because I was doing a play in the city, and it was a fun difference from that play.
Yeah.
It was a pretty
The city is New York City.
Oh, yeah, I know. Sorry, we do that.
What was the play?
I was doing Adels in America, which is it's
Oh.
like 8 hours long. It was a big experience, and when I got the call to come do the Captain Marvel, I was like, I can't leave the play. So I went out on the one day I had off, got painted blue, put on the whole kit, stood in front of the blue screen, back to New York and on stage. So that was fun. It's always a treat to come back.
Well, definitely. I mean, it's kind of like with the timelines, you're never really gone, or
I mean, that's the coolest thing about the Marvel Universe, is that actually anything can happen. You can go into space, characters could die, they can come back, you can move in time. It's like, that's what I was thinking when you asked that first question. I was like, that's what's so extraordinary about this world that they've created, is that actually anything can happen. And how many worlds is that possible?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, you mentioned, getting painted blue. What was the makeup process like?
Long, but we have a good time. It's actually a really fun part of the day. It's
Yeah.
a cool crew, and we listen to music, and look around on Twitter and Instagram and laugh about stuff. You know how it is. It's fun. It was actually really a fun part of the day. Yeah.
Well, definitely at the end of Captain Marvel, I mean, it seems like they're setting up for, another movie with you. I mean,
Angry blue guy.
I guess the best way to ask this question is, you guys have mentioned a little bit the secrecy. How do you deal with the secrecy behind the MCU? You really
I
can't.
don't know anything. I don't know anything.
Okay.
I don't know. I when I went down to shoot this stuff for Captain Marvel, I didn't know what I was going to say. I didn't know what I was going to do. I walk on set and they're like, "This is it." And I'm like, "Okay, great. Let's do it."
Benedict, any thoughts on the secrecy? Do you ever get the full scripts? Anthony, you mentioned you hadn't had the full script yet.
Oh no, not at all. Yeah, I just get those my scenes, and then that's it really. I guess it's like back in the day, in Shakespeare's Globe, for them, they couldn't really afford printing sheets, but people would have their cue lines and then just have their speech, just their lines alone. And
William Shakespeare was a playwright. He wrote some timeless classics, as in Romeo and Juliet, Taming of the Shrew.
A few of them have been made into movies.
He also wrote sonnets. Huh?
I said a few of his works have been made into movies.
I mean, Hey, on that note, Zeffirelli passed away today.
I know.
Wrong crowd.
He directed that Romeo
Franco
and Juliet.
Zeffirelli, this amazing
he
director,
directed, Romeo and
like
Juliet.
the first Romeo and Juliet with these two.
It's a beautiful. It's like
You have to watch it. It's one of
67.
the most beautiful movies about love ever made. And he told a true love story from a point of just naivete from these two people who weren't actors. It's really beautiful. It's the original Romeo and Juliet movie. Franco Zeffirelli. He passed away today.
A moment of silence. You guys, everyone's
That was a quick moment.
It was quick, but it was there.
Jeez Louise! Moment of silence.
Everyone was texting that into their notes. Hang on.
Yeah. That was like, a time warp moment of silence. But you guys are so popular, and everyone's so excited to talk to you. There was actually a little contest to see who could get to ask you questions. So people were able to submit questions, and there were certain about 10 that were chosen. So if I could have those people line up over here at the mic, and while they're sort of getting themselves ready, everyone here geeks out about you guys, Marvel, comics. What do you guys geek out about? What are you watching, listening to? What are you reading? Anything, or collecting? Could be anything.
Okay. I geek out about cars. I love cars. That's my thing. Namely, American muscle cars. That's my thing. So I have been looking for a certain car that was only made in Australia for the past 7 years. And I found it. And I am in the position of acquiring this car and rebuilding this car. I own 6 Fords. I built them all myself. When I found them, they were pieces of dirt, so I got them for nothing. And I built them myself. One is a 64.5 Mustang convertible. His name is Marshall.
Aww.
One is a cherry drop red 64 F100 flare side, which if you drive a Ford Ranger, that is the original truck the Ranger was based off of, which they just came out with a new model. Check out the new Ford Ranger. The other, I'm proud to say, is a 1964 convertible Ford Falcon. The hotness of hotness. Ladies, if you see a dude in a Ford Falcon, know he's the man. All right, if you see a dude in a classic Mustang, know he's really the man. The other one, 1974 Bronco.
Oh, that's what I grew up in. That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm still driving my mum's Honda Jazz, and I call him Jeff, Jazzy Jeff. True story. In fact, I came back once and I thought, oh, it's Stuart's MOT, and I started driving it to the garage, and it started sounding like a Porsche. I thought, oh, this is pretty good. And apparently someone had nicked its catalytic converter, so just for scrap metal. Anyway, that's one of my theft stolen stories. Stuff like that. But hobbies-wise, I enjoy, just whiling away the hours playing a ukulele, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, some ukulele players in the house.
No one here plays the ukulele. I dare you. I will go find a ukulele, and you better play La Bamba right now. Which is a great movie. You should check it out. It's one of my favorite movies. Frankie Valli.
Lee, anything come to mind that you? I mean,
Yeah,
ukulele,
I'm a nerd for
cars.
science.
Now, I'm interested to know. I've known Lee for 25 years.
Wow.
Is it really
It's
25
we're old,
years?
dude. I've known Lee for 25 years. So I'm very interested to know what this answer is.
What would you guess?
Oh, shit. I don't know. That's why I'm interested to know.
Well, I've got ADD, so it's lots of different things. But one thing I am very interested in is science. And I wanted to this right now. I did this voiceover for a documentary on PBS and Smithsonian Channel called "When Whales Walked." If there's anyone here who's also interested in kind of evolutionary science, this is a really, really cool one. And it follows a crocodile, like species that we have on the planet today: crocodiles, elephants, birds, and whales. And it kind of goes into their deep time and how they evolved. And some of the things in the documentary are like the first ancestor of an elephant that was found was the size of a rabbit, which is unbelievable to me. And I see totally geeking out in front of everyone with a mic, you know. Like the first whale that was found was found in Pakistan because it was before the Indian subcontinent had crashed into the Asian continent. So it's a really fascinating watch if that's the kind of thing you're interested in. But I love that stuff.
That's dope.
That does sound amazing. See what we learn? We learn new things about each of you. So thank you.
I can keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
And
By
then
all
there was a
means.
lizard.
But in the documentary, it talks about how elephants at one time controlled the African continent in the way that humans are controlling the planet right now. They took down the big forests and created the savannas to create an environment whereby, a million years later, the monkeys that climbed down from the trees kind of created us. So we kind of owe, in a way, our existence to the elephants. I don't know, I think that's a controversial claim, but we'll see.
But I love elephants.
We'll leave
I'll take
that
it.
to other people to sort out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Hi, we'll start off with you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Everyone's good.
My question is for Anthony Mackie. What was your favorite on-set moment from Endgame?
There was one day we were shooting, and Tom Holland was standing behind me. Yeah. And it was the day when Chris Evans says, run, and we all run out to battle, right? So it's all green screen, and it's like maybe 300 people on set. So we had a break in between camera setups, and Batista comes out, and him and Tom Holland are talking over my shoulder. And I was like, Batista ain't that bad, man. I thought he was bigger than that. Dude stuff. When you're dude, you're like, man, I'll kick his, right? So all of a sudden, he does this jump, flying, punch, kick move. And literally the stage shook. And I thought he had hit Tom Holland. And I was like, oh my God, you just killed Tom, right? So I turn around and I see Tom like sitting there. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And Tom's like, calm down. He's teaching me a move. And I was like, good, because I was about to yell at you, not fight you. But it's this move where it's this jump, because he's like a fighter. So Tom was like, hey, how do you do the move? And Batista's like, oh, well, you jump and you swing really hard, and then you kick your leg, and it gives you more force, like this. It was the scariest moment of my life.
That is
It was
awesome.
the scariest moment. I thought he killed him.
Thank you for that question.
That
Great
was it.
question.
That was a scary moment.
And they are both such like nice. Seems like they're such nice people. And Tom is like the perfect Spider-Man. Hi, how are you doing?
Hello, my name is Carmen. This is for Benedict. What were some of your scenes from Doctor Strange that you liked doing?
Some of your favorite scenes from Doctor Strange.
Some of my favorite scenes. I love all of them. I love all my scenes. Why would I hate any of them? I don't. What did I enjoyed obviously where he's listening to Bawong say and the books are being stolen. But I was finishing Marco Polo the season 2, and I just found out I got the job of Doctor Strange, and I literally had to fly in, dump my bags, and pretty much go straight on set. But I kept having jet lag and forgetting my lines, and the takes kept going into double figures. So I needed to create a porthole and be swallowed up there. But I think that's one of the most kind of memorable moments I had, being sent home.
Go to sleep.
And everyone was going, "Who is this guy? He's
Y'all
rubbish."
hired him?
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. So my question's for Anthony Mackie. Since you were in 8 Mile, if you could choose another MCU character or person, who would you think could do a rap battle with Eminem?
You know what? That's not a hard question. Because I was in 8 Mile, everyone tends to come up to me and just start rapping for no apparent reason whatsoever. So I would love to see Cumberbatch rap. Because he's literally the most dignified person. Like, he personifies the word crumpets. Like, we call him biscuits. He's the dude that eats crumpets. So I would love to see him reenact a scene from 8 Mile. That would make me very happy. Very happy. So I would pick Cumberbatch. That's my man.
Thank you. Anthony, 8 Mile, you have had such a diverse career, so many amazing projects, but I just caught your episode of Black Mirror, which,
Oh, boy.
yeah, which came out.
We got any gamers in here? Yeah, bro, okay.
What when they pitched you that episode, with Yaya, what were your thoughts?
They didn't even pitch me. They were like, "We want you to do an episode of Black Mirror," and I said, "So?"
Yeah.
Because ever since the first episode of that show, I've been blown away by how far they've been able to take it, how different it is, how intelligent and well-spoken it is about human culture today. Mm-hmm. It's like the idea of human contact has been lost. The idea of saying hello to someone has been lost. Now, I can't call you. When I was a kid, people used to stop over the house. Like, now, I got to call before I come, or even better, I got to text before I come to the city to let you know I'm a text to stop by. It's crazy. So, the idea of technology and how it's thwarted our ability to be human beings, it's always impressed me. And I felt like they've done it in a way that no one else has been able to. No movie, no television show, anything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it was such a great episode. So
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yaya killed it. If you haven't seen it, Yaya wears the worst wig in the history of black actors. And he pulls this awful wig off. He pulls it off. And I made fun of him every time he put this wig on. Because they tried to give me a wig. And I was like, nah, get that to him.
He'll do it.
He put this wig on him. And he wore it. And he kills it, man. He kills it.
Hi. You look great.
Oh, thank you.
Who have you come as?
I am. Name's Winter. My question's for Anthony. In the end game, how do you think Falcon felt about becoming the new Captain America and being the proud owner of Captain America's shield?
I don't think he ever accepted the shield. I think if you watch the movie, he was very diligent about your cap. You know, so it's important to remember, you know, okay, I have the shield, but I'll never be Captain America. Your cap. That's kind of how, you know, Sam was very respectful in the idea of Steve Rogers and who he was as Captain America and what he meant, not only to the rest of the world, but also to Sam. So it wasn't a thing about him becoming Captain America. It was a thing, you know, about him taking on the mantle of the moniker of Captain America, because there'll always only be one. You can put a star on my chest and say, hey, it's Sam in the suit, but I'll never be Captain America.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lee, Ronan has been around in the comics for over 50 years. What did you know about the character when you were approached? And did you go back and read the origin story, or what was sort of, how did you start to develop your own version?
I didn't know much about the character when I was asked to play it, and when I started to research, there's so many different versions of Ronan through the years in the comics. He's kind of fulfilled so many different kinds of roles in it. So I did as much research as I could before I walked on set, but it feels like they really found a new face for Ronan for these movies in Guardians of the Galaxy. So, like I said, anything's possible.
And
Did you read comic books growing up?
I did. I was really into the X-Men stuff. I was.
Really?
Yeah, I was.
Did you guys record that? All right.
Well, it's true. It's what I was reading when I was a kid. I thought they were real.
Did you read comic books growing up?
Yeah,
And
it's Spider-Man.
Silver Surfer, that's Marvel.
Yeah.
Silver Surfer is Marvel.
No, I was really into X-Men too. I wanted to be Beast. Like, Beast has always been my favorite DC character. I was very upset when I didn't get cast as Beast.
But you really pursued a role in the Marvel universe, right? Is that? I mean, it's every actor's dream. But were you on the lookout, in other words, for a character you could play?
Oh, yeah. But I really wanted to be Beast.
Yeah. Well, you got a lucky second, you know, as
you
Sam.
Then they cast one of the greatest actors alive, and I was like, God, I love you so much.
That's actually, it leads me into the next question. As artists, or even, creators, who has been an inspiration to you guys, in all seriousness? Has there been a specific teacher or a certain property, a certain movie? What has inspired you over the years?
It was when I did the Hobbit. I had the good fortune to meet Ian McKellen and get to know him and spend some time with him, and he's such an inspiring person and a real warrior, and that's left a real lasting impact on me, and it was a real privilege in that job to meet him.
Absolutely. Anyone stick out for you, Anthony, or Benedict?
Well, for me, it's 100%. I started acting because of Don Cheadle. If you haven't seen it, Don Cheadle did this movie called Rebound, where he played Earl the Goat Manigault, basketball legend from New York. And it was like it was that, and then I saw, y'all might not know who this is, but there's this amazing rapper named Busta Rhymes. And Busta Rhymes performed Scenario on the Arsenio Hall show with leaders of the New School, and it changed my life forever. And I turned to my mom and I said, I want to be that guy. And, after that, me and Busta became friends, and I got to hang out with Busta, which is, if you haven't done it, go on StubHub and see if you can find a ticket to hang out with Busta Rhymes. It is amazing. And I got to, one of my first jobs in New York, I got to understudy Don Cheadle when he did Top Dog Underdog with Jeffrey Wright.
Oh, that's amazing. So it really came full circle for you in a way. Yeah. Benedict, anyone stick out, or a moment of something that inspires you as an artist?
Other
than
obviously,
Anthony.
this guy over here. I think growing up as a kid, I was always watching Bruce Lee films and, just enjoying it. I mean, he was a real true superhero, and later on finding out, he wrote this book called The the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, and there's some wonderful philosophies in there, which I still always take with me and put them in my little journal. So yeah, him. Yeah.
Awesome. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. What about you?
Good.
Oh, I need to readjust this. All right, I don't remember who I got selected for specifically for all three of y'all. If you were yourselves in the Marvel Universe, would you want to live in space, Wakanda, or Asgard?
Where would you live if you were yourselves?
Space. I would be in space.
Wherever the blue girls are.
Yeah.
Every blue woman in the history of film has been amazingly beautiful.
Yeah.
So wherever the blue chicks are, that's where I want to go.
Yeah, space. Yeah, I'm big into space.
Where would you live if you were in there?
I would say Wakanda because they have every futuristic gadget over there.
Futuristic gadgets and beautiful
I
women.
didn't see a restaurant in
yeah.
Wakanda though. I'm like, what they eating in Wakanda? I'm kind of nervous about the food selection. They had every other scene. They never had a food scene.
That's
Think
a
about
good
it,
point.
homie.
I'm about to go with space then.
I don't know. They might. I don't know. You might be eating some awful stuff in Wakanda.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello, this is just a general question.
Oh boy.
If you were a hat,
Oh God.
whose head would you be on?
Oh boy, that's so inappropriate. We have kids here, young lady. Jeez.
And
Young
you
people.
can time travel, so it can be in the past, let's say. Well, I just made it about time travel.
Oh, okay.
She said if you were a hat.
I know, that's what I heard. And then I heard
It's
this.
a
I was like,
very-
I'm losing my
it's a
hearing.
very,
I'm just saying it can be someone who's passed away. A historical
this is
figure.
a question makes you lose your job.
I mean,
Thank you, young lady.
who would you want to follow around? Like
Oh,
sit on their
boy.
head?
That's such a great
Oh wow!
Let me
Go
think.
further.
Okay.
So how big is this shovel? Jeez.
No, this is. We can do this. We can do this.
No, I can't.
I'll pick a hat. I'll pick someone for you.
Ooh, here we go.
Go for it, Lee.
Lee's gonna get in trouble. Everybody, put your phone down. Lee's about to get fired.
No, I got to think of someone really good now. But who wears hats anymore? That's the
No
problem.
one wears
That's why
hats.
It's important to go back.
Well, it could
in
be
time.
somebody in the
Yeah,
past as
that's why
well,
you have
right?
to go back in time.
Excuse me, young
Julius
lady
Caesar.
who's trying to get us in trouble with your inappropriate question. Can it be
Julius
somebody in the
Caesar.
past?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
I said Julius Caesar. You should be on in
Julius
his head.
Caesar.
Yeah. Big kind of Roman hat.
Well, you'd actually be like the leaf,
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good.
Hey, why not Nikolai Tesla? Why not?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
when he passed away, all those hidden secrets that all
Oh.
suddenly disappeared.
I want someone with a really clean head.
right.
Someone who does not have
That's
lice.
important.
Clean heads.
It's very important, yeah. You don't want to go too far back in
Like a
history.
nice clean head, calm, someone who walks very evenly so you don't get jostled around as they move through.
You're anthropomorphizing the hat.
Yeah, no, I want to, if I'm going to be on someone's head, then I want a smooth ride and a nice, and I would like someone tall so you get a nice view.
You get a good view.
You
Get a
know?
good view. Yeah, I get where you're going.
And you want someone who treats you right. You know?
Someone who owns a hat box.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the shelf.
Some
Or
people
hat
wear their
backs.
hats every day, and it's like it's
Sweaty.
sweaty.
It's disgusting.
Some people's hats smell like.
Oil buildup.
Yeah.
Like, no,
So,
I don't want to do
You
that.
want someone who's thoughtful. You know?
You're
And who
amazing.
people like, so that you're not alone all the time. So that he's bringing you or she is bringing you out. Interesting people.
Oh.
Sounds like a new series for Netflix. Yeah.
We just pitched it. This was the pitch. It's awesome.
Oh, man, that's
Okay.
good. That's
Um,
good.
Thank you for that.
Previously
We'll
on
take our
Head
next
to Toe.
question.
Hi, so this is for Lee. How did Halt and Catch Fire prepare you for your later work in Ronin?
In which one?
In Halt and Catch Fire.
Prepare me for.
Prepare you for your later work and then Ronin.
Oh, in Roman? With Roman?
Ronin.
Like, I kind of shot them, I feel like it was all around the same time. Like, I shot the pilot for *Halt and Catch Fire*, went away and did Ronin, and then did I hear it wrong? I can't
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
How did it prepare
And
you
then I
for
went
Ronin?
back to do *Halt and Catch Fire*, and so it was kind of, well, I mean, they're both maniacs, those characters. So, I mean, that's a commonality.
Quietly, Lee is a maniac.
Yeah.
May surprise you to know, but
No, that was, I mean, oh gosh, that was, I mean, those characters are so different. They're, you know, but that's one of the things I love about getting to do this job, is that you get to walk in different shoes and experience different kinds of, you know, problems. I guess they were both power hungry, which I'm not. So I learned how to do that.
thank you. By the way, I think *Halt and Catch Fire* is one of the most underrated shows. I absolutely love it. And
Oh, thanks. I had such a good, I mean, that was one of the, like, the most interesting experiences of my life. Those actors I had the privilege
So
to work
good.
with, they were it was so, like, every week we thought we were, like, building something new. It was just such a great experience.
and such an untold sort of moment in time, I feel like. So
Yeah, and it's like, it was about entrepreneurship, and I guess I went into it thinking, well, of course we're going to win, right? We're going to make this great computer, and the story's going to be about that. But when it became about, which I think is
Spoiler
the
alert.
truer story about, yeah, well,
I mean, maybe somebody didn't see it. I don't know.
everyone here has seen it, right?
I don't know.
But it becomes about, like, the real story of entrepreneurship, which is failure and compromise, and
sacrifice.
that's never
Yeah.
sacrifice, and, you know, having the right idea at the wrong time. And I find that to be a much more interesting story, actually, than this kind of illusion that everyone's going to come out okay. You know, it's like it was a much more complicated view of the world. It was. I love that show. I still think about it all the time. That character.
yeah, I loved it too. Great job. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, okay.
So this is for Anthony.
Oh, boy.
Who is a villain you'd love to see take on Falcon/Captain America?
Oh. Oh, boy. That's a hard question. Who would you like to see him take on?
Honestly, probably Ronin.
Oh.
I mean, you know, it's kind of building.
I've been beating Lee up for a long time. I would hate to get to the point.
We just got to make it work in the timeline. That's the only problem.
Anything's possible.
No, I would say the best for me, my favorite timeline of Sam Wilson is the Tuskegee Airmen experiment timeline. I think it's very interesting to think that they took these soldiers and tried out the serum on them before they injected Cap. It's really the way it was written is really beautiful and kind of describes America in a very specific way in that period and depicts it truly and honestly. I don't know if I would like to see a certain villain he fights, but I really like the idea of, as far as for Sam Wilson, the timelines in which he lived, because he evolved greatly from the first incarnation into where he is now. You know, and one thing I give Stan, you know, God rest his soul, every time black culture evolved and changed, Sam Wilson evolved and changed. It wasn't like, no, he was a drug dealer that was this, and he was, you know, because Sam Wilson was created in a time of black exploitation. So Stan Lee basically wrote a black exploitation character, you know, and then he became, you know, what he is today. So all of that was vision, foresight from an open-minded, beautiful person who didn't have a bad bone in his body. So, you know, I would like to, for that, I think it's more about those periods of time for Sam Wilson than who he fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Anthony, of all, you know, I've mentioned you've had such a prolific career in a way. You played Dr. King, which is like probably just such an amazing person. How do you even go about tackling a figure like that?
I read a lot. and watched a lot of video. The great thing about Dr. King is there's a lot of recorded video about who he was and what he did. And, you know, there's an awful person, probably the worst person in the history of America is J. Edgar Hoover, hands down. And what he did towards Black people and the civil rights movement is undoubtedly one of the most grotesquely undescribed moments in our history that hasn't been accounted for. So that being said, because of that, there's a lot of stuff out there for you to go and read and watch. And, you know, a lot of people don't know the latter year of Dr. King's life before he was assassinated, which is amazing. And you see what led to that and what he was talking about and who he was fighting for and what he was trying to do. You know, his storyline was pretty remarkable. So I just had to figure out at what point in that storyline I fit in. And he was a politician. Mm-hmm. You know, you look at politicians today, if they had a soul, they would be Dr. King. Mm-hmm. So he wore the same shoes as long as we knew him. When he was killed with a hole in his shoes. He was penniless and poor. Whereas today, he would be a politician with an Instagram account and he would be paid $1.5 million to speak at colleges.
Right.
Because he was not only put out by the white community, he was outcast by the Black community. So, you know, you just have to find those little nuggets and tidbits and know that you can't be that person. You can try to represent him, but you can't be that person.
Well, you did an amazing job portraying
Thank you.
him. We have time for our last question. Hi.
Hi, this is for Lee. With Thanos now dead in the MCU and you're the #1 villain now, how does that make you feel?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, I'm in one of those stones, right? Doesn't Ronan get sucked into one of those stones at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy?
Well, but now
So I'm kind of incapacitated.
Yeah, you're done in the current timeline.
Yes.
Sorry.
But I guess, yeah, you could move around. Yeah, but hey, you're right.
Well, it all has to.
That was a realization moment.
There's a couple things happening, but yeah, I
Let's
mean,
look it up.
Thanos is gone, so you know, if you're going back to the timeline of, you know, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, then I gotta get to work.
And no one is officially dead in the MCU.
Well, now especially with the serum, going to come into play and really mess up the timelines.
Oh no!
Yeah, so enjoy it for this one moment while you can say.
That's it. And blue people never die.
Right.
2 rules. Blue people never die, and the girls are always amazing.
I mean, come on. All right, thank you so much.
Great, thanks for that.
You just made Lee's day.
Lee's sending an email tonight. Dear Kevin Feige.
Yeah, by the way.
Sounds like.
You guys are so amazing. I know you guys are super busy at this event, so thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us. Did you guys have a good time? Please give one more big round of applause for Benedict, Anthony, and Lee.
Talking about how I'm running out my mouth. I know this without a doubt. If you know these streets, yeah, these streets know you.